Hello, guys, and welcome back to whatever this is. I still don't have an idea. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I guess this is inside my head. Used to have a podcast that I did called Inside My Head. I recorded it on the Bumpers app, so you guys could check that out if you wanted to. But this is kind of freelance. I write, and I'm the founder and I podcast for Downtown Rams. DowntownRams.com is where you can find us. Also write for the Rock Chalk Talk, Kansas Jayhawk blog on SB Nation. So if you guys want to support me, I'm on all those things. But I love NFL. And with Downtown Rams, I mainly cover the Rams. And with the Kansas Jayhawk blog, I mainly cover the Kansas Jayhawks. So this is why I like doing things like this, interacting. I know a lot of you actually refer to Downtown Rams. They that I run it. I'm part of it, whatever. So I do these videos for you guys. I know a lot of you like, what I bring as far as like NFL, and I have a lot of knowledge about the NFL. And if you guys are having a hard time doing your picks this week, I got you covered. So we're skipping the Thursday Night Football game because the Rams, which is RWO Rams Central back there, met those guys back when I was in California earlier this week. Fantastic experience. Phenomenal dudes. Shout out to them. But the Rams beat the 49ers 41-39, so we're not going to talk about that. I'm done. My Rams homer's out. We won 2-1, whatever. Now, let's move on. And the first game of Week 3 is, unfortunately, and I say that, I'm sorry, UK fans that, are watching. Unfortunately, it's in London. London games don't always go well. It's not the greatest of environment. It's nothing against the UK in general. It's just the fact that, it's ridiculous to... think about it. Jacksonville played Tennessee last week. And they're coming from, I believe they played in Jacksonville. But if they played in Tennessee, they're coming from there, and they're flying out to the UK, and they're playing in London. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, so they sacrifice a home game because they love to do it for some reason. And they're playing the Baltimore Ravens. I am picking the Ravens. Per ESPN, Pigs Can Pick 'em. The Ravens are at 88%. So they got a nice percentage of people that are picking them. I'm a very underdog-driven person. But the fact of the matter is this. Jacksonville, I can't pick them against that Ravens defense. I won't be surprised if Jacksonville wins this game, as London is pretty much their second home. But I really like what the Ravens are doing on defense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Flacco hasn't gotten anything going on the offensive end. But that defense and a rookie that I absolutely love, and Tyus Bowser, are really coming to play. Jacksonville has a great defense as well. But in the end, I think the Ravens are able to get the win on the road in London. Moving on, we got the Atlanta Falcons taking on Detroit Lions. This has to be the game of the week, right? I am picking the Detroit Lions to go 2-0. Nope, 3-0. I am picking them to go 3-0. I don't know if I had them like that. I don't think I did with my predictions, but I love what they're doing. Jim Caldwell is not the most in-your-face coach. He's not very energetic like I am, but he is a good coach. And even though he doesn't, catch the eye because he is overwhelmingly boring, he's doing a nice job in Detroit. There's no doubt about that. And they're a playoff team this year. They signed Stafford. They gave Caldwell the extension. I like what they did getting, what's his face? Kenny Galladay from Northern Illinois. I love getting him. They have Marvin Jones. They have Golden Tate. So there's going to be weapons there. I think this is a high-flying shootout game. I think while both defense are underrated, and I really feel as though the Falcons are more of a defensive-minded football team, and we'll see that kind of come out as the year goes on. But I have the Lions eking out a fun game. This is definitely going to be the game to watch. If you liked what, again, sorry to mention, but if you liked what the Rams and 49ers did on Thursday night, you're really going to have to tune in for this game. Matthew Stafford gets the win at home. and Lions go 3-0. Moving on, we got the Buffalo Bills playing the Denver Broncos. This is a trap game for Denver. Buffalo is kind of scary at home for no apparent reason. I don't love their team. As a matter of fact, I think I had them winning 2 games all year. They are 1-1 because they played the Jets. I don't think so. I think Denver, even though I had them winning 5 games, I can admit I think I'm wrong about them. I think Denver, has a lot of stability at the quarterback position with Trevor Siemian, a guy that's not going to do it all for you. He doesn't have to. When you have a defense like, what they have, Von Miller, Shaquille Barrett, Chris Harris Jr., Aqib Talib, and you have other guys there, Brandon Marshall, Darian Stewart, and they have, I think his name is Justin Simmons, the safety taking over for TJ Ward. I think they're set. I really do. Derek Wolfe had this... right before the game against Dallas, he called upon a team meeting, and he's like, look, they got this offensive line. We can't stop hearing about the offensive line they have. But we are going to go in there, and we're going to win this game. And they did. They destroyed Dallas. So I have the Broncos rolling along. Even though I don't think Vance Joseph is that great of a coach, I think he's inherited a good team. And I think Joe Woods is a great defensive coordinator, a way to really... he's the placeholder. Not saying he is a placeholder, but he's the placeholder. After losing Wade Phillips, you bring him in, in-house to replace Wade Phillips and keep that defensive mindset going. So I have the Broncos winning. Trap game, no trap game. I don't believe in it. I believe it is a trap game, but I don't believe it's going to matter. 94% of people agree with me on ESPN. Broncos over the Buffalo Bills. And moving on, I have the Chicago Bears. I'm the minority here. The Chicago Bears are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have a lot of people that are going to be mad at me for saying that, and I might look like a total idiot, but you know what? The Bears have looked decent. Last week, they were terrible, okay? Let's be real here. But the thing with the Bears, their defense isn't great. It has some pieces, but the thing I like about the Bears is their quarterback play out of Mike Glennon, I think, has been decent. I don't think it's amazing. If he gets hurt, Mitchell Trubisky, I think, who is actually better than him, I think he can come in and play good football. The Steelers on paper are lethal, but I need to see more. Was not impressed with the play calling against Cleveland to start the year. The Vikings, they beat 20-9. No Sam Bradford. I think that game would have been a lot different had Bradford played. So I'm going with the Bears. I think Tarek Cohen is going to be a nightmare for them, as well as Jordan Howard, who really didn't get a chance to play at all last week, hampered by an injury. I think those two are going to really help this offense, and I think the Bears eke out a home upset over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know 98% of ESPN disagrees with me. I don't care. I told you guys I am a underdog guy, even though I didn't look like it with my earlier picks. This is my underdog pick. Going with the Bears. Moving along, we got the Indianapolis Colts facing the Cleveland Browns. I want to pick the Browns here. It's a 55-45 percentage per ESPN, but I gotta say, I'm going to go with the Colts. I really like what Jacoby Brissett is. I really think with the Patriots getting rid of him, I think that showed more about where Tom Brady is, where they believe he will be, how long he will be there, and I don't think it was anything against Brissett. I think Brissett has shown a lot, and I loved him coming out of college, 3rd-round pick. I think the Colts got a steal in him. I think it'd be smart to keep playing him, let Luck sit out the rest of the year. I know it's crazy, but I don't believe in Luck's shoulder right now. I think he needs a full year to get going because that just doesn't happen. Shoulder injuries are no joke, and I think, Jacoby Brissett, with the help of T.Y. Hilton, stability with Frank Gore in the running game, and hopefully, Rashawn Melvin keeps it up because he's played some really good football at the cornerback position. I have the Indianapolis Colts beating the Cleveland Browns. And then moving on, the New York Jets are playing the Miami Dolphins. I'm with the 94% on ESPN. I got to go with the Miami Dolphins. Love what the Dolphins are doing. I think Jay Cutler, hot take here, I think Jay Cutler is a dark horse MVP candidate. I really do. I love what Adam Gase is doing. Jay Cutler has a running game. I mean, I liked Matt Forte when he had him, but Jay Ajayi's different. He's not just like Jay. The thing with Forte is you were looking, he was more of a receiving back. Jay Ajayi is going to mash defenses, and he did that last week. Ajayi's great. They have Jarvis Landry. They have Devontae Parker, who's the total monster, who's really going to become a superstar, I think. And then they have guys like Kenny Stills that can take the top off the defense, as well as a Julius Thomas. So I really like Miami. The defense needs some work, and they're going to get it. But I definitely like Miami. The Jets are really, I mean, they looked decent. I'm not going to lie. The score of the Raiders-Jets game makes it look really bad, but the Jets actually played some decent football from what I saw earlier in the game. So that defense is still scary. I don't care what anyone says. I think Jamal Adams is one of the best safeties in all of football, and I said that before he came in. Marcus May looks great. And that defensive line, of course, even without Sheldon Richardson, I think the defensive line's good, and I think the linebackers are pretty good. So I like the defense, but I think Miami is going to win this game on the road. Moving along, I have the Minnesota Vikings over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Another kind of shocker. Sam Bradford has been ruled out for this game. Hopefully he comes back. I love the guy. I really wish nothing but success for him. It's going to be Case Keenum again versus Tampa Bay. Last year you saw what Case Keenum did on the Rams versus Tampa Bay. I really think, this is a more talented Vikings team. I think last week it was kind of iffy if Case Keenum was going to play, and I'm not saying, hey, I don't love Case Keenum by any means. I'm not saying definitely go and bet on this game and say put all your chips on the table for the Vikings. What I am saying, though, is that Case Keenum has had success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and while, yeah, there's some new pieces there, it's not a ton new, and Case Keenum did that on the road last year. I think Case Keenum is going to be on the same page with guys like Adam Thielen, and I also don't think Tampa Bay has anybody that's really going to be able to shut down a Stephon Diggs or Adam Thielen as much as the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive backs did last week. I love Vernon Hargreaves, but I don't think there's enough there to say that he's going to completely shut two guys down. I don't think he has another top-notch cornerback next to him, and which is why I have the Vikings winning. I think ultimately Dalvin Cook might be a little too much for them. This could be a shootout, but I have Case Keenum overcoming it, and what I'm hoping, nothing serious, but I'd love to see Kyle Sloter get his chance with this Vikings team, because he is the backup, and it'll be really interesting. Moving along, I have the New England Patriots shellacking the Houston Texans. Texans have a great defense, don't get me wrong, but Deshaun Watson isn't very good. I'm sorry, he's just not. I had him as my 13th ranked quarterback. Really don't know what people saw in him. That's just my honest opinion. Sorry if it offends you, but Deshaun Watson is not ready to start in the NFL. There's no way he's ahead of Patrick Mahomes. There's no way he's ahead of Mitchell Trubisky. It's just, and those guys aren't starting. So Deshaun Watson shouldn't be starting. I get why he is, because Bill O'Brien realizes that the offensive line is starting a extremely raw project at tackle in Julian Davenport, who's just not ready. The guy out of Bucknell, I like him, but you knew coming out of the draft he was gonna be a project, and now they have to play him because Dwayne Brown's holding out. Now that means, and it's unfortunate because Tom Savage is a solid quarterback. I think he could make this game interesting. Not saying he's going to take it over, but I think he could manage it well. Problem is with Watson, they need to play him because of his pocket mobility. Otherwise, Tom Savage is going to get killed. Shows how much of a team player Dwayne Brown is. I hate holdouts, and I can't stand the fact he is still holding out. Don't care who's responsible for it. He's the guy that's making the wrong. He's really hurting his team. And poor Julian Davenport's just not ready for this type of, this type of competition yet coming out of Bucknell. So, unfortunately for the Texans, I the Patriots are just gonna, again, I have them shellacking them. That's how I put it. I think there's just too much there. I mean, you can look back at the Saints game, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Saints are going to make it." So no, they're not. Tom Brady came out and destroyed them. Gronkowski's healthy. I like what they do at running back. I really love Mike Gillislee. I can't stress that enough. I don't see it. I really don't, and I think the Patriots are going to dominate the Texans, especially at home. Next, we have Carolina versus New Orleans. I am going with the 22% on ESPN that have the New Orleans Saints beating the Carolina Panthers. Here are some facts. Cam Newton isn't a great quarterback. He's a good football player. He's not a great quarterback. His MVP season, I know you'll throw that in my face, and that's fine. But he can't make the touch pass. He can't make rhythm throws. There's no timing. He has no footwork. He's a power thrower, as Greg Cosell mentioned on Colin Cowherd's podcast. Now, the problem with that is you had a Carolina Panthers team that went out and drafted guys that are going to need those touch throws like a Christian McCaffrey and like a Curtis Samuel. Now, if you can't get them the ball, they can't be dominant. And that's why guys like Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess are huge for this team. Because Cam Newton tends to throw it high. Those guys are big. 6'5", 6'3", respectively. So, that works. However, drafting two 5'11" guys that Cam Newton can't seem to hit in stride, that's an issue. I expect that to be an issue because I expect this defense of the Panthers, as great as it is, I expect Drew Brees to come out and firing against them. I don't love the Panthers. I think they're the worst 2-0 team in the league, and I don't even think it's close. With that being said, I think Brees leads them in a shootout, or even if it has to be a shootout, I don't think Cam Newton is going to outgun Drew Brees. That is why I have the Saints going on the road and beating the Carolina Panthers, and who knows, we might see an Alvin Kamara breakout game, because I could definitely see that. Moving along, I have the Philadelphia Eagles playing the New York Giants, and I have the Eagles winning. It looks like my Super Bowl prediction is going to be terribly wrong, and the reason I say that is because, let's look at the facts. Jerry Reese spent no money when they had Tom Coughlin. They get rid of Tom Coughlin. Jerry Reese is kind of like on the hot seat. He has to spend a lot of money. So Tom Coughlin led those lesser talented Giants teams over the hump with his pure coaching. He's a fantastic coach, won 2 Super Bowls. Now Jerry Reese spends money. Now they have Ben McAdoo, who I think is the worst football coach in the NFL. I really do. I think I'm sold on it. You couldn't get me off that. I think Steve Spagnuolo was way more... He was way more justified in being the coach. I mean, now you're looking at the only good side of the ball is the defensive side of the ball. I think people overrated the fact that Ben McAdoo came from Green Bay, where Aaron Rodgers was, and they kind of tried to make the narrative that he helped Aaron. Like, no one. Aaron Rodgers helped himself, and that's what he's been doing. So my big issue with them is the fact that they spent all this money on defense. When you have a coach that can coach up defense in Steve Spagnuolo, he can scheme very well. Spent all this money on defense because he was under the, on the hot seat. I'm talking about Jerry Reese, the GM. Didn't spend money on offense. So I'm happy because the Rams got Andrew Whitworth, but you have a bunch of Giants fans that are like, what on earth are we doing? Because Eric Flowers is playing left tackle, and he might be the worst tackle in the NFL. Greg Robinson outplayed him when they both played against each other. So now, one guy is killing this team. Eli Manning is completely, he's terrified. He's out of sort. He's out of sync. They have a hurt Odell Beckham Jr., who's probably going to get healthy, and when he does, they need to really lean on him. But I think, the way the Eagles are playing, that defense looks good. As good as the Giants defense does, they're not going to be able to keep dealing with 3-and-outs on the offense, which I believe the Eagles could set them up for. Giants are the desperate team here. They're staring 0-3 in the face with a very unlikely chance at making the playoffs if that happens. But I really have the Eagles going into MetLife, and I have them winning this game. I think Carson Wentz is going to be enough. His ability to get out of the pocket, continue, and make plays after the fact. Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Nelson Aguilar, Zach Ertz having a great year. And I think this is the Eagles' game. Eagles are, I believe, they're 1-1. I don't see them losing this game. I think the Giants had it all, and I think one guy has kind of ruined it, and that's Eric Flowers. His offensive line as a whole has been bad, but Eric Flowers is just killing everything. And he's killing the end of Eli Manning's career, probably shortening it, because now you have Eli looking like a rookie quarterback, worried for his life. Moving on, I have the Tennessee Titans, and I'm 42% with the ESPN community. I have the Tennessee Titans over the Seattle Seahawks. Hey, some people can say that this is wishful thinking, but the Tennessee Titans were my Super Bowl team. So are the Giants. I don't switch Super Bowl picks like at any point in the season. So yes, I do. I stick with those. As dumb as it sounds, to stick with an 0-3 Giants team, but I do, because that's me. The Titans, however, they got a lot. Okay, this offense has not even hit anywhere near where it can be. I can't stress enough. Marcus Mariota is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And Derrick Henry is really starting to come out as the feature back. They still have guys like, they have DeMarco Murray. And, he's struggled a little bit, but they still have him. And they have David Fluellen, who I really like as the third back. On top of that, Corey Davis won't play. That's fine. They have Eric Decker. They have Rashard Matthews, and then you're looking at Taywan Taylor. Yeah, I like this team. I really do. And, their best receiver is a tight end, Delaney Walker, who I think is the best tight end in football. Very underrated, and he's not big, so no one thinks about him. But what he's been doing in Tennessee and what he's given to Marcus Mariota has been huge. The defense is really playing well. To me, like that bounce back from the Raider game, which, it was upsetting. I thought they were going to beat the Raiders, and I was wrong. But that bounce back to come in and, destroy the Jaguars, I think this week they're going to beat a Seattle Seahawks offensive line that just hasn't been able to protect Russell Wilson. And I think Marcus Mariota is going to have more opportunities to create plays. I think on top of that, don't sleep on the fact that the Titans have Logan Ryan and Adoree Jackson on the outside playing corner. I really like what the Titans are doing, and I have them winning this game. Moving on, I don't know why, but there's a weird amount of people that have the Bengals upsetting the Packers here. I have the Packers, 98% of ESPN does. I'm not shelling away from that. I think the Bengals look terrible, and I know they fired their offensive coordinator, which could be a boost. Maybe it wasn't the offensive coordinator's fault. I don't really know. I don't know what's wrong with Andy Dalton. Because what he's doing is past scheme-wise. He just looks terrible. I think they'll get Joe Mixon going a little more, as they should. He's their feature back. Whether they want to admit it or not, this guy is a feature back. And hopefully they'll throw to A.J. Green like 13 times. But I still just, against Aaron Rodgers, I don't really think the Bengals are that good. I think I said that they'd be going 4-12, 5-11-ish. So I'm not a huge fan of them, and I think the Green Bay Packers are going to roll over them. Next in line, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going against the Kansas City Chiefs in LA at their soccer stadium that they didn't sell out. I'm going Kansas City. I don't like the Chargers, and it goes past the whole LA thing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. The Chargers can't win close games. They have not been able to win close games. That's all they seem to play in. I like Phillip Rivers a lot, but outside of that, their defense, it's good, not great. I think it's the defensive line. It's the overall unit. I don't think they're as amazing as people say. And right now, no one can stop Kansas City. The Eagles played great football, and they lost. Like, the Eagles played good enough to beat just about every team in the league week 2, and they lost. Carson Wentz played well, but they lost. Kansas City right now, no one has an answer for this revitalized Alex Smith that sees Patrick Mahomes in his rearview mirror and is like, no, like, I'm not letting him take my job. Then you have Kareem Hunt, who is just every bit, he was the X Factor. He went from being the X Factor to being the offense. He is phenomenal, as well as Travis Kelce. And then you have guys like Chris Conley, Albert Wilson, and of course Tyreek Hill. I just don't see it. This Chiefs defense is nasty, and I have the Chiefs beating the Chargers. I'm sorry. That's just how I see it. Moving along, we have the Washington Redskins versus the Oakland Raiders. I went against the Raiders week 1. They gave me the middle finger. Went for them week 2, obviously against the Jets. They won. Week 3, I saw the Redskins live. I wasn't thoroughly impressed with them. I thought there was a game that ultimately the Rams shot themselves in the foot. I think they blew it overall, and the Redskins are at home, but I don't think they're that great. I like Kirk Cousins, but they didn't really use him much. I have Oakland winning a close one on Sunday night on the road. I think this is an Oakland team that is a phenomenal pass protection team. Derek Carr is great. Like, with or without pressure, Derek Carr is a good quarterback. But they have the highest graded offensive line per Pro Football Focus in the NFL. And, the Redskins have the underrated pass rush, I think. But, this offensive line has been stonewalling guys. So, I have, on top of a Raiders defense that's kind of finding their stride. I think they have a good line. The secondary is really finding its stride. And Sean Smith has been playing well off the bench. I got the Raiders in this, and it's going to be close. And Terrell Pryor gets to play his old team. That should be interesting at a different position. And the last game, finally, we're at the end of this video, right? It is the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Dallas Cowboys in Arizona. I am picking the Dallas Cowboys. Arizona just eked out a win against the Indianapolis Colts, who were just obliterated week 1. I like the Colts. I don't like the Colts. I like how they responded after getting their butt kicked, and I like Jacoby Brissett. But Arizona seriously almost lost that game. It went to overtime. Dallas just got obliterated. So, if Arizona lost a close game, okay. They won that game. The Cowboys are going to come in here and they're going to be pissed off. People are doubting the Cowboys. They got blown out by the Denver Broncos. It was the first time where Ezekiel Elliott looked human. Dak Prescott looked underwhelming. And, if you really think about it, they barely beat a Giants team that just really... The Giants are looking at 0-3. So that's where the doubters are coming from. And I expect the Dallas Cowboys to turn around on Monday Night Football. And without David Johnson, I don't really like this Cardinals team. I think they have some nice pieces on defense when you look at Hassan Reddick. You look at Honey Badger, Patrick Peterson. But I have to go with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys' defense is a little but I like their offense, and they'll get it going again. This will be their kind of kickstarter as they, next week they go and play in Dallas against my Rams. So that should be interesting. Those are my picks, guys. So let me know if you want to holler at me for something good I did, something bad I did, any mistakes I make. Go right ahead. Honestly, all up to you. Just wanted to throw that out there. And, those are my picks. So, I'll be trying to do this weekly. Last week again, I wasn't able to last week due to the fact I was in California and my webcam for whatever reason wasn't working. So, with that being said, this is Jake Ellenbogen signing off from inside my head, and you guys enjoy NFL Sunday tomorrow. Later.